Hello, Stoughton. This is Steve Cavey, selectman from the town of Stoughton, and today is June 4th, 2019. I just want to get in touch with you guys and let you know how the meeting went tonight. It was actually a very short meeting, relatively. It was about 10 o'clock now, so about 3 hours or so all together, which is some sort of new record, I think. But a couple of the items that we had planned to discuss we're going to put off until another meeting because two of the selectmen weren't able to make it tonight, so there was some last minute stuff that came up for both of them, and so we have a skeleton crew, 3 people, so we decided to cover only the more mundane and non-controversial stuff, and there were a couple of items that were going to really require a lot of input and meaningful contributions. So we want to make sure that we covered those with everybody, or at least more than 3. So as I go through the agenda, I'll touch on that. But for the most part, tonight was a very by the book, basic sort of meeting. So one of the first, I won't go through every item, but just the ones that really, really require us a little bit of description. So during the selectmen comments, the chairman O'Regan had brought up the fact that this is something we've talked about in the past in these videos, that during the last meeting, I believe it was, we appointed people to both the planning board and also with the SRA, we appointed somebody to join the SRA. And when we advertised those open positions, we got an unbelievable outpouring of interest from lots and lots of very, very qualified people for those roles and for others. And perhaps everyone has a theory as to why now, because typically you might get 1 or 2 people coming forward for a position like those. Why did we get 18 people this time? And I've got my own theories about this, but I don't, who knows why there's interest now where there may not have been. But I think the town could really benefit from having all those people involved and having other people involved who maybe weren't interested before but are interested now. And the selectmen are going to be appointing people to various boards and committees very soon. So I think it's, I want to say June 18th, I believe, but middle of June. So it's coming up. We don't have that many more days. And we wanted to have, Selectman O'Regan was really asking what people thought of having some sort of a volunteer fair where the people from the various towns, town boards and committees, and even maybe some nonprofits that support the town, like Friends of Stoughton Center, for example, could essentially be available in one location to help people who were interested in volunteering but didn't know what was out there, didn't know if their skill set fit or if their interest fit a particular board, or maybe they just didn't, they wanted to see what's there. They could discover something they didn't realize fit them well. And having some sort of a little volunteer fair that people can get a view of this. He was asking us our opinion on that. I think it's a great idea. Selectman Howe also mentioned she thought that this was a good idea. So we're looking to do this sometime in June, middle of June, obviously. June 15th, I think, is the date that I wrote down. That's a Saturday, and so applications would have to be in by, say, 1 o'clock, I believe, the following Monday, or that next Monday. So they have a couple of days to get all of their paperwork filled out and submit it, and so that we could vote on it and do the interviews and vote on those positions on Tuesday. So anyway, I just want to raise that. If people are interested in these, in volunteering with the town, we can definitely use your help. We can definitely use your insights and your experience and your energy. So and the folks who all stepped forward before, you were all great, and please consider reapplying to this. And we will definitely be able to find a place where you can add a lot of value to our town. Okay, next item. So this is a pretty minor thing, but in 2018, town meeting voted to issue a bond. It was a I&I borrowing. It was a sewer bond, and so we just had to essentially sign off on that, vote on that to submit that paperwork. And there was a bond for $32,500. As I mentioned, this was voted in 2018 by town meeting, so this was more or less already agreed upon. We just had to actually issue the debt. So there's that. We had two parade permits, one from the town. The recreation department is having their Independence Day parade on July 4th. And then Our Lady of Fatima is having a festa. People who are familiar with this know it's a really, really awesome and large event. So there are events on things to do on September 6th, 7th, and 8th. And so they have a parade permit for the 7th and 8th, and also a one-day liquor license or alcohol license for the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th. We voted on those as well. It was unanimous to issue both those permits. The permit for the rec department, also the two permits for Our Lady of Fatima. Next. So, town meeting had voted to appropriate funding towards the a feasibility study of a public safety building. Anybody who has seen Fire Station 1, if you've been inside of it, this is should have been done decades ago. They need a new fire station. The way they are currently operating is not efficient. It's a whole other era of firefighting was started there, and you can't operate a modern fire station out of what we currently have in Fire Station 1. The police station also has a unique set of issues related to both its size and also there's a lot of water that gets into that building because of the way it's built, and so there's a lot of damage that's being done to equipment and whatnot. So it's also at this point too small to operate our current police station out of, and so we're looking at this question, what we should do. And I made some declarations just now that it was too small and this is too small and this isn't working. The feasibility study is an attempt to not just hear me out or believe my opinion, but actually have some data to support what is actually true. And if it turns out we have plenty of space and I'm wrong, that's fine. But whatever we need. Let's figure out what we need and then make that happen. And so we have a public safety facilities planning and building committee. It's already been formed. This was several months ago, and they were put in place in anticipation that this would pass through town meeting, and if it didn't, then they disband. But if it did, then we'd have people already ready to take the task and bring it to the next level. And one of the first things that they wanted to do was have a mission statement for this particular building committee, right? So it's a mission statement for the public safety facilities planning and building committee. And so rather than like a business that continues on, it might have a mission statement. This is instead a mission statement for a specific committee that deals with one particular project, and that is the this public safety issue. They Selectman O'Regan read the mission statement, and it was very concise. I think it was written by Joe Walk, who's on a number of committees. I think he might be on the school building committee. I think he might also be on the library building committee. He's on the finance committee, and professionally he was in this sort of construction project management. So I believe he's the one who actually drafted it. It was, I thought it was thoughtful. It basically says like, who we are, what we're doing, and how we're doing it, and then once we're done. We close up shop. It also lists all of the statutes that would apply to their their charge and what they're doing. So I thought it was concise. I heard through the as I mentioned, Selectman O'Regan read it out loud. Everything sounded right to me. I also got a copy of it in writing, and I did read through it, and it looked concise. I'm going to continue to kind of meditate on it. But for the sake of implementing a mission statement, I think we're in good shape with what has been developed, and so we voted on that, and that was also a unanimous vote. And I'd just like to thank the folks who were on that committee for stepping up, and I think that we're following a model that has already worked for both the library and also for the construction of the high school, and that seems to have been very successful in both cases. And so we're just filling in the same template, and so the people who have gone through this before us and sort of shown us the path. Sometimes they had this knowledge from their work, but there was also I imagine some learning curve as they worked through the projects in Stoughton. And so the fact that we're able to sort of learn from their mistakes and learn from the corrections they were able to make is going to make this process even more efficient. So I just want to thank them, the people on those two committees, for leading the way, for blazing the trail, and giving us some framework to actually be able to get this done in a way that's efficient, saves us money, and also gets us what we need, which is police and fire to have facilities that are appropriate for the work that they're doing. So thank you very much for that. So the next thing we discussed were policy permits and fees for sidewalk and roadway obstructions. I believe right now we don't currently have anything in the town of Stoughton for this, and as we start to see more work being done in the downtown, and if you imagine like the Malcolm and Parsons sites, for example, is going to have, there's going to be demolition and then also building right on a very busy part of our streets. There's just a concern that we make sure that we are mindful of the things that need to happen there, right? The sidewalks have to be accessible for people, people in wheelchairs or handicapped, who are handicapped who need to be able to use those sidewalks, and even just children and pedestrians need to be able to have access to a safe place to walk. There's also through that intersection of downtown, we've all seen some driving bad behaviors that take place. Sometimes people make turns a little too quick, or they speed through certain areas. It can be very frustrating. So those frustrations can be taken out on the roads, and that certainly creates a public safety issue that when it's exacerbated by obstructions, and even where an obstruction can become something really dangerous for somebody who's driving less than perfectly safe. We want to make sure that those types of obstructions are we have a policy in place that's really mindful of our needs, but it's also accommodating for developers. We're not looking to make anybody's life difficult, but if they're looking to take up a sidewalk for 3 months, that's something we're definitely gonna have to work on. If it's for a day or two, then or some more finite and reasonable amount of time. A little bit of this seems to come from the concern from what happened in those walkways during or right after the fire that made that building unusable. I don't recall this, even though I've lived in town long enough. I just hadn't spent as much time downtown during this time, but I guess that the sidewalks had been unusable for a number of years because of obstructions. Now, as I said, I don't recall this, so if that's not true, I apologize. Maybe I misheard something. But if that is, those are the types of things we're trying to look at. So that's just to give you an idea of what we're talking about. Currently, the way we left it is that our town staff are going to write up a policy. They're going to put one together based on things that are currently working and available in nearby towns. So things that seem to be working and implemented by towns that seem to have a pretty good idea of what they're doing. The Board of Selectmen will then review that sometime in July, and then probably have a follow-up meeting where any of our concerns or public concerns can then be addressed. We can get an updated version that we can then actually implement, vote on. And I think we might be there. So the only thing that I do want to raise is that each year, currently our chairman, Bob Regan, has asked us to give a list of priorities. So each of the selectmen will provide a sort of a wish list of things that we would like to see done in the coming year or years. And then we try to take those lists we have in the past. We've taken from those lists and we've tried to prioritize them and say, well, these things are not unimportant, but we can do them in a year or two. But these things over here really have to be done right now, and so we can start to build out a schedule or calendar that allows us to get through as much of this as can be done. And with two out of the five of us not here, setting those priorities and setting the work for them didn't make a lot of sense. So this was tabled. We'll probably pick it up at the next meeting, and have a roundtable discussion to just discuss our priorities and what the calendar might look like over the next year or two, and try to get as much done as we possibly can that it lines up with those priorities. That was it. We had a consent agenda, all basic stuff, and then we had executive sessions covering the same things we have for a little while there. Union contracts and then minutes. So it's nothing interesting there. So that's it. Once again, thank you very much for allowing me to be a selectman for this town, and looking forward to many more years of this. And I will, if you want to get a little bit more information on the agenda, it's down below. You can find that in the description. The video that SMAC has available of the entire meeting will also be down there, and there's also an anonymous suggestion box if you want to drop any comments for me. I had a little bit of a drought, but I've started to get some comments lately, and they've been very, very, very helpful. So please keep it up. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Talk to you soon.